full, free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections that would genuinely express the will of our people. And there is a lot to be done in this direction. But now, in conclusion, as we go for the way forward, there are few phenomena that are very important related to the question of elections and the transition. If you have observed very clearly, the election of 2015 was interrupted and postponed with the start of the civil war in South Sudan and the use of violence in the political debate in 2013. That is what destroyed the elections of 2015. The elections of 2018, which was agreed in 2015 agreement, has been also postponed and destroyed by resumption of the war in 2016 and the collapse of the government. I'm concluding. And now, with the RRCs not being fully implemented, and with all the points that I have just mentioned from the agreement itself, not carried out and not implemented, the no implementation of these aspects of the agreement are now being presented to us as the basis not to have elections by the end of the transition or 60 days before the end of the transition, which is actually 2022. Because the transition is left with 8 months or 7 months almost, as per the agreement. This creates a situation whereby South Sudan may be now in a tunnel, a cycle of failed transitions. We enter into a transition in the hope that we will achieve peace, we will build peace, we will return our people, reconcile ourselves, reunite our people, build a constitution, and go for election, build a national army, and all this. These things are not implemented. And then we go for either extension of the transition, extend the life of the government, or enter into a new transition. And unfortunately, we've entered into new agreements by returning to war. Somewhere in the middle of the agreement of the transition, or in the beginning of the transition, or at the end of the transition. This cycle may be important for us to look for ways how to break it. And this is where the proposal that was made back in 2016 and reiterated again in 2017, 2018 by the National Convention, an idea which has also been popularized by others in the civic political area, like PCCA, on calling on the current government to step aside, President Kiir and Dr. Riek to step aside, and for us to have a transitional government that is not formed by the parties to the conflict or by the political parties, and to have a government of South Sudanese professionals and technocrats supported by the region and the international community to stabilize the country, build the system, and then hand over power to an elected government that will come through free and fair elections. And the purpose of such a government of technocrats is to stabilize the country, build the institution of the state, and hold elections. And this transitional government should not be politicians with vested interest in elections or in fearing elections. If you are holding the government, you can decide not to implement the agreement or obstruct the implementation of the agreement because you want to postpone elections, or you want to hold elections in such a way that they will not be free and fair and they will be tilted in your favor. That is a problem with political interest. So if South Sudanese can agree that all the political leaders in the country, in the government or in the opposition, they say, okay, anybody who is a politician, please step aside. Organize yourself and your party. Prepare yourself for elections to offer yourself to the people in free and fair elections, all the parties. Then we agree that we give this transitional government for a period of years to professional South Sudanese. And we have scientists in all the fields, in the field of administration, in the field of international relations, in the field of economy, in the field of agriculture, in the field of education, in all the fields. These South Sudanese professionals can actually help us build a state, provided that they do not have political or interest in political office. And they would do it without any conflict of interest here. They will help the whole country and prepare the ground for elections to be conducted. This is an idea that I have thought about and tweaked it this way and that way, and I'm submitting it to you in our search for the best way to achieve a smooth transition to a democratic system, to a peaceful South Sudan. I thank you.
So much, Comrade Chairman, for this well articulated presentation and a straightforward position about 2023 elections. you have said it all. Uh, so to make this discussion fruitful, we are going to open the floor to you, audience, in order to participate. If you have comments or you have questions you want to ask Comrade Chairman about the topic of this discussion, we will allow you. So now the floor is open, and everyone who want to participate, do not hesitate. You can raise your hand, and then we will pick you up and contribute. So you can raise your hand.
Hello.
For those who come, please turn off your mic. Please turn off your mic. Those three people, any one of you have 3 minutes, which you can ask in these 3 minutes, or if you have comments, you try to reach what you want to reach in these 3 minutes. So now we are going to give the chance to Tontat.
Yes.
Yeah. So flash your mic, open your mic, and you have 3 minutes. So you are welcome.
Thank you. I would love to greet all of you here, including Comrade Fagan. Yeah. Um, to let Comrade Fagan know that I'm one of J Hammer, and I wouldn't go longer than that. But uh, my question, I have two questions before my talking. My first question is that if you want, beside the peace agreement that is signed and it is on right now, if you are proposing a new proposal that which is circulating anyway. It seems that you talk about it, but it's already leaked out, and Troika is backing it up. That President Kiir and Vice President Yang Machar plus other politicians have to be pushed out, and then bring in new people as interim committee, and then you propose that we will have a new election. Are you not seeing that this is another war, and that will be a big war coming up? Second to that, if they agree, that they will step aside and they come back, and President Kiir have to win, what will it prove that the system that you were talking about will really work for South Sudanese, if that will allow President Kiir or Vice President Yang Machar to come back and win and go back to the government? Is this not a hypocrite if we're gonna aim on doing that? Those are my two questions uh, that has to be answered. In addition, with our tribal mindset, how are we going to feel if that the interim committee that will be inaugurated to lead the country without President Kiir and Riek Machar and those of One Iga? How is that going to be look like based on our tribe representation? As you guys are pushing this to tribal stuff instead of the parties, saying that the S.P.L.M. parties and the other minorities parties. Uh, uh, those are my question. And to go back to my talking, as you, Comrade Pagan, you've been in the bush and you have seen our suffering. And now, you, the people who led the S.P.L.M., failed the S.P.L.M., and then you, the people who mess up the country, form the parties and think that the young people have to follow you to bring a change into the government that you propose. You were a part of it. You downplayed it. You destroy it. Uh, don't you guys see this as a laughing point for young people that are coming behind you guys? Uh, as you think that, oh, it's only President Kiir and Riek that are bad guys misleading the countries, and all of us, since day one, are watching that you guys are the one having interests of power struggle just to lead the countries, and especially you, Comrade Pagan, you fail our party. I'm a dying heart of the SPLM, and you talk about John Garang dream. We need to talk about your dream. John Garang died with his dream. We all know we were Jayamber. We were brought up. If you guys become old,
Tontat,
we would replace you.
your time is run out.
Thank.
So please try to conclude in a second or 2 seconds.
Okay. Yes. So we were prepared to take over you guys if you guys become old, and it has to be our own way to change our country. But you guys who prepare us are the one now dividing us and divided yourself that you want to change who want to change who, and you guys are the same people that we were
Okay,
followed. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Tontat, for your questions. Now, Alibi, you have 3 minutes. Please try to end your questions or comment within 3 minutes, because after 3 minutes, in order to allow other people to participate, so try to use your time well. So thank you. Welcome, Alibi.
Okay, okay. Honorable Secretary of Pagan Amum, my name is Aliak Bai. I got a question. I ask you one question about APA. I said, Bakir State. There are some names that we're going to dash, we're going to hit our narrow goal. Now you see a PA problem now, and people are fighting.
Please, Alibi, we have a topic of discussion, which is general election.
I'm
So
coming,
please,
sir.
if you
I'm
can
coming,
keep
sir.
this question to another topic in another day, it will be good. So try to ask question relevant to the topic of discussion, please.
Okay, then. Okay. Let me go through the topic. Honorable Pagan Amum, I don't think there will be election in this coming because there are no reconciliation between Young Machar and Salva Kiir Mayardit within region Apana, within region Barkadal, and within the military and who. And this is why Young Machar cannot have reconciliation within Barkadal. Young Machar cannot have reconciliation within Apanal and Salva Kiir by himself. So I don't think the election. And if you are expecting if the election, please, Honorable Secretary of Popular Secretary of S.P.L.M., tell us here your dream. I don't need Salva Kiir here telling you the election. I don't think the election. Nature is still die hard. Nature is going by fighting each other. You see now, Ukatura are fighting, and all Bargadar are fighting themselves. And then they say Pagana Mumbi is still a lot of money, and corruption is still going on right now. And but of the oil are going over by Salva Kiir. Thank you, Honorable Pagana Mum. I will lay my word there. Thank you. My name is Aliabai.
Okay, thank you, Alibi, for your question. The last one for this term, Prino Garang, please, you have 3 minutes. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Carlo, and I would like also to thank General Pagan Amum. Okay, actually, I'm going to be straightforward to the topic. So, Pagan Amum, I think you own serve as a Secretary General for the SPLM, and since SPLM come to Juba and after South Sudan independent, because the government have accused you that you have failed the party technically. You failed to establish the party from the guerrilla movement, and you bring it and you establish to be something to be a ruling party that okay. And secondly, President Kiir himself, I heard it from him. He was saying there was around 88 million US dollar fund that they were removed from Juba, was given to someone. When he began, he was trying to fix that matter. He went to his office and started quarreling. From there, that's where the SPLM failed. So we talk of hypocrisy, as our brother have spoken before. Okay, now you are talking about how we can uh, st- uh, uh, the process, how we can establish this government and to show a good space for this election to be conducted. And your answer was accused of corruption. So how are you going to convince the people of what is to be done once you have also been named among the corrupt official under the President Kir government? Thank you.
Thank you, Perino. Please, when we give you the chance to ask, we are giving you to ask the question or comment the question or comments which are relevant to the discussion, because don't personalize your comments or questions. Please be objective and try to discuss the presentation and the topic which we are talking about. So thank you. Those who come up and ask, keep down. I think we will not give. We will turn. We will not give you chance because you don't put your picture, and I don't think the name is your real name. So sorry, please. Now we'll give the chance to Comrade Chairman to answer the questions of the audience. So welcome, Comrade Chairman. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Um, very important questions were asked by Thontat. Um, and these are related to the proposal I was making to break this cycle that keep us in a loop of failure and transition, extension, transition, war, extension, postponement of election. And the proposal, as Thontat said, is getting popular and maybe getting some support internationally. The idea to ask President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar, and I'm adding actually all of us who are leaders of political organizations in South Sudan, in the government or in the opposition, all political leaders should step aside from the transitional government, and we agree to form a government by South Sudanese technocrats or experts or professionals who will not have political interest or conflict of interest, political conflict of interest, to ensure a smooth transition to peace and to democracy in South Sudan. It is an idea that is being shared, and I'm sharing it again with you here, thinking loudly on how do we break that cycle, that dangerous cycle that seemed to have gripped South Sudan. Now, the principle behind it is that, one, you need to have an administration or a government, a caretaker government, that will be focused to build institutions of the young state. Number two is have a government that is politically neutral, that will not use the resources, public resources, to favor one party or another. And the aim here is to ensure that the elections are free and are fair and peaceful. Then when our people have chosen, and when the government and together with the observers from the region and from the international community declare the results, the likelihood of people all accepting the outcome of the result and the result of the elections will be accepted by all of us, and we eliminate or at least reduce a return to war so that we break out of it as a nation. This is the purpose. It is not an idea designed to be against anybody. And therefore, we should also give equal opportunity to all the leaders of political parties, whether Chairman Salva Kiir or Chairman Riek Machar or Chairman Thomas Cirillo or Chairman Paul Malone or Chairman Lama Cole or Chairperson Susan Jambo and all others. Give them equal opportunity to submit themselves to the will of the people to elect their representative and their president or their governors in their states. Now, the candidate who will win in such a free and fair elections, regardless of who they are, we have to congratulate them. Whether it's Salva Kiir or Riek Machar or Susan Jambo or Pagan Amum or Dr. Lama Cole or Thomas Cirillo or anybody. Compete against them and work to make sure that you win all the votes. But when the results are out and the winner is declared, immediately go and congratulate them. If they are not nearby, give them a call and announce it publicly that the results are out and it is very clear Flan has won, and we wish her or we wish him to do well and to serve the people of South Sudan. That, I believe, will get us out of this cycle that is consuming our nation now and destroying us. Of course, when the results come, that is a choice of the people. Actually, you cannot blame anybody. You cannot even blame me, and it cannot be hypocrisy. Tontat, how can you say the choice of the people is hypocrisy? It's the people who have chosen. And we have to submit ourselves to the will of the people. This is how we can bring normalcy back to our young nation in this early stage of our nation building process. Now, you raise another question that those who are forming parties are the same old people who have failed the SPLM, who have failed us, like myself. I was the Secretary General, and I am accused of having failed the SPLM. And therefore, I should not be a leader of the party, of a party. We should give chance to younger people. How this work, my brother Tontat, is that if you believe that all these leaders whom were in the liberation struggle have failed and are the one who have failed us, what you do actually is establish your party and declare yourself the leader. But I would advise you not to do that. You let your colleagues and members in your organization elect you, or at least select you in the beginning before you go for your internal elections to be the leader. Have your team, and honestly, I will encourage you to call me or come and meet me and say, Pagan, you failed and you should quit politics. You should not even talk about politics in South Sudan. You disband your party. Let the young people who are following you now follow Tontat, and we go ahead. If you convince me, and if I'm convinced by your program, I will work for you. I will step down. By the way, I am doing this as a volunteer. I'm doing this because I love this country. I'm doing this not for any gain, but to serve the people. And I can prove to you that I'm doing this not for any gain, because you know very well I spent the best years of my life as a young man in this struggle. I chose it when I was a young man like you. And I step forward to be a leader. I challenge you to just do what I did when I was young. I'm sure you are older than the time I was making that decision when I was in the University of Khartoum and left the university. I was studying law and I was a good student. I was actually top of my class. So it was not academic difficulties that pushed me to the bush. It was not any economic pressure or any difficulties that pushed me to the bush. It was a choice that I made. If I can make that choice when I was young, why would you not make it yourself now? Instead of just complaining about those who are offering themselves. Let them offer themselves, but if you offer a better leadership and better ideas, I'm sure we'll follow you. By the way, there were leaders in South Sudan when we took the decision to start this struggle. And we were young, younger than you now. So step up and take it, especially now at this critical time where this nation, after we declared our independence, is crumbling. Today, it is the most corrupt state or country in the world today. It is one of the worst and most failed states in the world. Today, if I don't know whether you read the news coming out from South Sudan, just the terrible warning by World Food Program that 80% of our population this year are going to face hunger and famine. 80%. This is a time, if I were a young man like you, or a young woman like you with that energy, I will step up and do everything to bring change in that country. Now, for me, I think the judge will be the people, including you yourself as a citizen. You will judge. I will come with my proposal, my program, with my ideas, and offer them. And it is you to decide whether they can help this country or not. You will be the one to decide. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to have a national security that will arrest you if you talk against me. No, this is not what I'm proposing. I'm saying let us have a level ground where you have your freedom to discuss and have your right and opinion about the program I may be putting forward. If the time for us to go for elections come, and I have the energy and the capability to run around and garner the votes, you will have that right to support my program and give me your vote, or to oppose my program and criticize me and campaign so that I don't get the votes of the people. You have that right, and I want you to have that right. That is the way we can take our country out. Now, if I'm voted by the people, you cannot say that this is hypocrisy. It is the people who have decided. If you are voted, I cannot say now why a young man who is against me is voted. No, I will come and congratulate you. My brother, this is how we can address these issues for our country. This is not about personalizing this and using this forum to attack each other, but rather to look for solutions for the country. I know those who are opposed against me, they will use anything and everything at their disposal, including lies. But I will have also the right to defend myself in the right time. Like now, you people raised the issue of corruption in South Sudan. If I was the one corrupt in South Sudan, how many years I've been out of this government now? And has the corruption increased in South Sudan or disappeared because the corrupt people have been removed? Just this is food for thought for you. I don't know whether you were there or you learned about it. I was in Juba when some people raised these issues, including President Kiir himself, and he said Arthur Quinn to make a press conference to try to tarnish my image. And said Arthur went to the press and said that he has transferred to my personal account $30 million, not 30. And I took him to court. I said Arthur, please, before the judge here, you produce the purpose of transfer of the 30 million to my personal account, if you did it. And he said, no, he did not say that. He did not say that he transferred 30 million to my account. Then we produced the paper. And the journalist who also was there, because we brought them. And it was read. Then he said, no, I was told to say that. By who? And he said, by somebody above. He did not want to mention. Who is this somebody above? Cannot be God. But who is above me in South Sudan or in the SPLM? It was clear. And I won that case. And you see, if somebody is accused of having stolen something, they don't take, if they have stolen or if they have taken it, they don't take anybody to court. They actually go silent. They are the one taken to court. But if they are not taken to court, you keep quiet and you eat your money that you have stolen. You don't talk. You don't open your mouth. You know that. Even just by sense, you know that. Why would I take Arthur to court, and why would I challenge Kiir on issues of corruption if, just slightly, if I know that maybe I have taken a penny, Kiir can bring it out and prove it. And why would they not bring their proof? Now I am out of the government, far away even from them. If they were afraid of me, now they can produce those documents. Why would they not produce it? And why are they silent now? Why are they not talking about that? I am talking about corruption, including the corruption of President Kiir. And I share information that they know about it. Why is that? The truth is clear. Also, when you say, and this is also a question that goes to Prino, you know, the story that I failed the SPLM party and I am corrupt and I have taken money of the party or money of the government. Now, is it not strange that up to today, even when I went back in 2015, why would they be receiving me? Oh, you are our greatest Secretary General. This is your place, this is that, and you are one of the greatest people who have done this and done that. And why would the stories of corruption and having failed the party disappear immediately when I'm back in Juba? Why do they speak in different tongues? Have you asked yourself about that? And why would they not take people to court, Yahwana? Okay, I took somebody who accused me of corruption, I took them to court. Why would they not take one day somebody to court? Do you know why? Because those who have that power are corrupt themselves. And they don't have the courage to take anybody to court. And when they talk about corruption, they only talk about corruption to their political opponents. And anybody who was corrupt, removed or not removed, is there. Eating and quiet. It is something that we need, one of the challenges that we need to deal with corruption. And the best way to deal with it is to be transparent, is to have accountability. And by the way, it is not a good idea to use the fight against corruption as a political tool to smear your political opponents only, because you do not solve the problem. If they agree with you anytime, then you will be a good person and you share the loot. And the problem will increase. So the best way is we just become transparent by being open, and we pursue, we open our books, we open our properties, and they are investigated. If something found missing from the government and is taken by you or transferred, because how do money move from public accounts to personal accounts? It is not taken by the individual without a process. There is a process. Either withdraw it cash and took it in boxes, and it will be clear that it has been withdrawn on this date, cash by this person or through this person, or transferred by a wire, or brought in as cash by another person who had access to it, or it is a kickback from a business. And this is how you follow it. And this is how we can recover, but more importantly, protect the public resources, to earmark them for the public goods we talked about before. That is the way. I agree with Aliabai, what Mr. Aliabai said, that there may not be elections without reconciliation and without national healing all over the country. Not only in Upper Nile or Baragazal or Equatoria, but it is all over. And that is very important. To deal with the issues of how do we elect our representative and government, And how can we break the impasse that we are in now, the cycle, this very terrible cycle destroying South Sudan through carrying out processes and creating conditions for our people to return to their constituencies, to rebuild their life. They are assisted so that they can recover. And we also help our people to rebuild their lives through rehabilitating the economy. And with now, we have more challenges that we are beginning to build our nation state when the entire globe is also facing new types of challenges and problems like global warming and the excessive floods and droughts that we are being hit with now. This is totally destabilizing our society. We need to have measures to manage floods and turn flood water into opportunity for production and for turn our people and develop systems to strengthen their resilience. We are faced also with more other problems, like the pandemics and COVID-19 and other epidemics that have been erupting up in West Africa and Central Africa, like Ebola and others. We may be having more of this. And this is because of all these changes that are happening and the expansion of human activity into areas that is limiting where these viruses and microbes have been living in their habitat. And these are challenges that we will be facing. How do we build a nation in such an environment? But there are also good things that humanity has achieved, like so many technologies, like this one that we are using now. Can you imagine how such a tool is so wonderful to build a nation, like Clubhouse? We are here in this room discussing how we can build a system that is strong, that can maintain our stability and keep our peace. At the same time, elect governments that can respond to our needs to build our nation. And we are in different parts of the world, and we are as if we are in a meeting discussing serious matters like elections and what are the requirements for a free and peaceful and fair elections that can reflect the will of the people. Other nations who started building their nations in the past, they did not have this type of tools. Even to hold a meeting, they travel for months to come to a meeting place. Some on horse, others travel on foot. Take, for example, for us to hold our first national convention, it took 6 months for delegates to arrive to, to the venue in Chukodum. 6 months. And now we are having it. It is just taking just a click and you are in. This is a wonderful thing. Things like blockchain, for example, even holding free and fair elections. If you use the technology of blockchain, it will be secure and there can be no manipulation and no tampering with the votes. And it is available. So these are issues and these are technologies and good things that we have in the 21st century to use to build our nation. And we have to use them with gratefulness. But thank you.
Comrade Chair, to answer extensively to the questions which have been asked by the audience. To continue and proceed with the program and asking the questions. 3 minutes in order to ask your questions or comment. So you can turn on your mic and take your 3 minutes. You're welcome, Gabriel.
First, thank you, the moderators, the Puma Secretary General of R-SPLM Party, and our people down there. My
I
question is
think
very simple. My
Gabriel,
question is,
I think
sorry?
our chairman. I think our chairman. Okay, I thought our chairman was on the phone. That's why. Okay, you just go
Okay,
ahead.
my
Then.
question.
Go ahead.
My question is very simple. I'm just, I have followed Comrade Chairman, and he keep repeating something that is very, very important. He said that the other day in the other room, he said that we need to give incentive to President Kiir and the other high command members who are still alive for them to exit the leadership. This is a very wonderful question. But then, how is we going to do it in form of what? Like what I'm suffering is, can we give them incentive to leave power in form of what? Money, security? What are we going to give to them? Because right now, for us to have a safe landing to the SPLM history, these folks has to exit, and they're not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere. They now, even this election, I have a doubt that this election is also they are going to win by all crooked means, and they're going to stay in power. But then the SPLM image is destroyed. That's why today you have the real SPLM, which is the led by you, former secretary of the SPLM party, and you have also the SPLM IO, and all the people who the faces that we used to see in SPLM long time ago have also scattered, and none of them are not there. What you have today in Juba is a collection of NIF, which is the National Islamic Front. Some of them, some element out there. But going back to my question, what can we do? When I say we, I mean the people of South Sudan. What can we do to actually engage in negotiating with these guys if they determine something that we can give to them and convince them that they can exit the power so that we can actually go and implement the SPLM vision? Because there is nothing wrong about SPLM vision. SPLM had a vision and it still have a vision, but the problem is when we reach Juba, some of you, the high people in the leadership, you engage in a locative, some kind of luring and all this. that is where SPLM lose direction. And also, if I can go back in December 6, December 8, I believe this is where a problem started. When you guys realized that the board was sinking and you tried to have it back, then some folks in the boat in the boat said that no, we have to let it go like this. This is where a problem started. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. But this is the only question I have. I don't dwell on much on these people, the narrative that everybody who is outside of the government, Juba, is either have stolen money or is. But nobody is there in Juba is free of this. If you blame me, I blame you. So the only way is to acknowledge it and then fix it, and then we together we can drive the boat together. Thank you.
Prince, the turn is yours. Open your mic and ask in 3 minutes.
Okay, good evening to everyone. مساء الخير للجميع. ربما سأرد باللغة العربية إذا أمكن. ممكن مش أو
عادي.
الأسئلة هتفتحها وجهها باللغة العربية.
تفضل، ما عندك مشكلة.
أوكي، السلام عليكم جميعا. وفي البدء سلام لكاميرا باغان أموم على الفرصة. بجد يعني ده فرصة كبيرة بالنسبة لنا نحن كشباب إنه يحاورنا ويكون معنا في الغرفة دي. بجد ده شجاعة كويس من كاميرا باغان أموم. على الأقل يكلمنا ويدينا معلومات عن الوضع الحاصل في بلدنا، ولازم الشباب كلهم يعني بجد يملكوهم المعلومات والحقائق والحاجات اللي ماشيه في البلد. على الاقل يكون لنا ك يعني كطريق نجلي برضه عشان نملك المعلومه الكويسه. فانا عندي سؤالين فقط، ما همشي كتير ولا ما هتحدث كتير، لانه انا اصلا يعني ما سياسي وما بفهم في السياسه كتير، لكن كل ما يهم امر البلد انا بتداخل وبتحدث عنه. فالسؤال الاول في كاميرا باغان أموم، هل الانتخابات هتكون في نفس الوقت المحدد لها؟ وما هي المؤشرات التي تؤكد قيامها في نفس التوقيت؟ أظن ده سؤالين لأنه كنا مسجلهم معي وعاملهم في بالي، فبتمنى كاميرا باغان أموم يرد عليه، وشكرا على الفرصة.
برنس، انت قلت انه عندك سؤالين، انا قدرت القى سؤال واحد، هل الانتخابات تقوم في مواعيدها؟ السؤال الثاني لو امكن،
ما هي المؤشرات التي تؤكد لنا قيامها في التوقيت المحدد لها؟ المؤشرات اللي بتؤكد لنا.
شكرا. مؤشرات.
اوكي، شكرا كاميرا، شكرا لك.
شكرا برنس على السؤالين اللي طرحتم. فالآن Comrade Samuel, the turn is yours. You can turn your mic and contribute or ask if you have questions or contribution. So welcome, Comrade.
Thank you very much, my brother and Carlo Beat, Comrade Carlo, Comrade Dushman, our Comrade Chairman, I really come late. I don't get full text of the representation. But I can say something about what I have heard earlier. First of all, I thank Mr. Chairman for creating this podium and address this critical topic, which analyze also or indicate to what is going to happen in our country today. Let me make a small comment. Election. This election, this government this regime, if we can call it the regime of Kir Mayardit and his alliance of so-called revitalized agreement coalition government, whom are the partner to the SPLM election has a requirement. Any election in this world supposed to be conducted in a safe environment. One of these safe environment is that you must have peace in the country, first of all, so that you get a smooth movement of the candidates so that they can deliver their political program and what they have made for their demand of solving situations facing the country. Because any political program supposed to address the critical issues facing the political situation and security situation, economic and so forth in the country, so that you offer, as Mr. Chairman was explaining, some question being raised by some speakers who asked here before. So peace and security in the country, it is a must. The revitalized agreement is spoken about return of a displaced people. We are talking today, we have 50% of the population are displaced. Some of them flee into other countries, neighbor countries, Ethiopia, Uganda, Sudan, Congo, and the rest of the world. 50% of population of this country called South Sudan. The revitalized agreement spoke about that to make these people come back to the country so that we make sure that security issues is settled, and then the refugees are returned to the country, and displaced people whom are in a displaced cantonment area within the country, including capital Juba, where our president and the cabinet of whole country is reside today. We have two cantonment area, although they are divided. There are POC 1, POC 3, POC 2 in some areas, Jebel and Tongping, not Tongping, this Munuki. Cantonment area within the capital of the country. They cannot be far for the what we call resident of the president, J1, and the office of the president. Something like 2 or 3 or 1, between 1 and 3 kilometers or 2 kilometers from where president resides. People are fearing from their government being protected by UN peacekeeping mission from 2013 up to date. Although I do understand also those protection forces being removed from there and they're being lifted. I understand all this. But the question is how to conduct election where you are in the position of 50% of populations are not stable outside of the country. And most of them, and some of them, are within the country. We are talking about Bor people in cantonment areas being protected by UN in Wau, in Bor, in Malakal, in Bantu, in other places. And going outside. We are talking about violation of our sovereignty of the country. Is there were being intervention of forces, foreign forces, those so-called UN protection personnel, which been brought by the peacekeeping.
Sorry, continue, brother.
I think there's something was wrong with this network.
Comrade Samuel.
It is showing poor connection.
Exactly. Comrade Samuel. Are you hearing? Comrade Samuel.
I'm hearing
Okay.
you. Hello.
Yes, you can proceed. Sorry. I think it's network. Something happened wrong.
Sorry.
So please proceed.
Yes, some moderators have muted me, but we take care of this. One of the moderators muted me. So we're talking about the people. Our people are in cantonment area within the country. Put aside those people who are already fled outside the country. So election has it requirement. As I talked before about it, security is needed. Before this security, return of the refugees and those people who've been displaced within the country supposed to return to their place. We're talking today, people are their home. Some people are living in their home in Malakal, especially Malakal and Juba. Nobody spoke about that, and Bor and even Bantu. So, without reconciliation, as some speaker here indicated to it, including Chairman spoke about it, without a reconciliation, let me tell you guys, even those supporters of the regime in Juba who are speaking about election to be conducted, ignore the half of the population not to participate in this election. This is critical issues. Census never been conducted. I don't know the criteria which will be used for the demarcating constituencies. Even now, I don't know. Even those people who are insisting for this election to take place, they don't come out up to now with the criteria talking about the basis of constituencies, how to identify them. This one not happen. Census never been happen. The people within the system talking about these consequences facing the conducting this election. People within the city. I was hearing somewhere in one of the podium, one person who is a very important element, minister, let me say it, within the government have spoken that from opposition part, those who call themselves that are opposition, although they are in the government today, they said that President Kiir never and ever took the initiative to put it at the table of the parliament or cabinet officially talking about election. Just he's hearing the media talking about that. And another person also within the government, one of the partners of the government, partner of this coalition government, spoke in one of the podium in South Sudan and said, President of the Republic is talking about the election, but if the unified force will not graduated from their cantonment area, there is no election. This is Riek Machar himself. Let me put it very clear. And others, civil analysts and other political analysts talk about that. No security in the country, no census being conducted. We don't have basis for identifying the constituents. No official program being presented to the cabinet of the countries. No also program being presented to the parliament of this 550 something or 500 and something member of the parliament being submitted officially. We are just alluding now about issues uh, of media talking. But guys, let me tell you, no official position being presented to the cabinet of South Sudan today, allocating for the elections and also the parliament of South Sudan. They did not got any information up to date. This is what I'm telling you. If people are observing officials uh, statement, it is not true. And even let me go back to you. The political organization, as Mr. Chairman was indicating to my brother Tontot before that, before you go to election, you have to identify your leader as a party or independent leader to prepare him and to present it to your political party as what we call a conventional conference to be made that so that all party agree with one or on one leader and one agenda so that this leader is presented to the public and create political program which Mr. Chairman talk about it. So guys, there is no election in South Sudan. This is my opinion. I am concluding, my brother Carlo. I am concluding.
Summarize, comrade.
Yes, I am concluding. There is no election in South Sudan, even although the this USA and another party who are relevant to the peace in South Sudan today, this so-called peace, this of Troika, they are supporting the position, but those people guys are waiting for you. Even one of the of the partners say that let us support president and talking about this election to take place. Let us support him. Let the election take place. But the question is that will he provide the safe environment and requirement for this election to take place? If he will not fulfill this gap, then election will take place. But if he did not fulfill it, at the end of the day, everybody is going to withdraw or to put his position because they never put their position up to now. Riek Machar already have spoken, and the requirements are there. So, guys, what I want to tell you, the regime is playing with our mind. What they are proposing is the renewal for their term for next 2 year or 3 year. We don't know. Then this is also is a very big indication for the whole opposition to take it in notice, so that let us not be taken by this statement from the SPLM in the government, these people of Salva Kiir Mayardit, to take us to this direction, which is not officially announced at the whole country. Just they talk in the media. Let us organize ourselves. No election will take place. Even if it take place, they don't have money, they don't have fund, they are not able to implement this peace agreement. They have a lot of problem with that. I am still here, my brother Carlo. I hope you don't remove me because I have a lot to say. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Molana Comrade Samuel, for your contribution and the question that you raised to Comrade Chairman. So thank you. Comrade Chairman, could we pick the question of Galwak if he has question in order for you to ask them at the time because he's the only one who with us here on the podium.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Galwak, so please, you can ask your question. So open your mic, the turn is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlo and War, if I'm not wrong. So, sorry guys, it is me not you. That's why I ask you if you can give me a chance to say some things regarding the election that is going to be held next year. So, to me, I'm in the middle. I'm really confused. The government of South Sudan are insisting to hold the election next year, while the country is still is at war. There's no peace. Our South Sudanese population are in outside the country, like Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia. So I don't understand. I don't understand how the government proposed this election. Is it the election is symbolizing for peace, or is it the election is simply to make the term extended? So I don't understand on the issue of this one. So what I would like to add as a concerned citizen of South Sudan, I'm neither a Salva Kiir supporter nor Riek Machar supporter. So I'm simply a concerned citizen of South Sudan. So what I analyze so far is our country will not be stable until until the regimes is totally changed. Why? Because the SPLM leaders, including Salva Kiir, who is our president, and Deputy Riek Machar, they have totally lost the direction of SPLM since the late of Dr. John Grant. So all the SPLM leaders after John Grant, they completely lost the direction. And that's why our country is still, people are fighting each other, because there's no reason to fight each other. Since we fought with Arab for almost 50 years, and after we gained our independence in 2011. So there's no need to fight each other rather than to develop our country, South Sudan. But the big question is, where is South Sudan is heading? Seeing all our holy school or warlords that are destroying the country. They're simply destroying the country. They're destroying our future. They're destroying our unity. Are the youth of South Sudan, our elders or leaders, they are really destroying our country. I don't know where we are heading. This is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Galwak, for your comment and the question that you asked. So thank you. Now we are giving the floor to you, Comrade Chairman. So you are welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry, there was a moment when I received a very important call, so I might have missed some questions after Jabril spoke about the incentive and Prince. But somebody, I think, was speaking while I was taking that call. I'm not sure. Can you help me, Brother Carlo, if there was any question that I missed? I have the question of Jabril, Prince, and I also I heard the comments of Samuel, and the last was Brother Galwak, a concerned citizen. Thank you.
I think the last one was the one who talked is Brother Samuel or Comrade Samuel, is the one who before the Galwak. So I don't think that there is anyone we miss.
All right, that's good. Thank you. Um, Jabril asked a very important and critical question. That he had heard me talking about incentive being given to President Kiir, and he added members of the High Command. I did not talked about something like that before. I talked about President Kiir himself asking that what is his incentive in an agreement which is being asked to step aside. So the question is actually from President Kiir, and I believe it is an important question that we as South Sudanese and as citizens of South Sudan have to answer that question as Jabril put it. What is it that we can do as citizens of South Sudan to answer the question that President Kiir rhetorically asked? He said, "What is my incentive if I leave power?" So it was not from me, it was from President Kiir himself asking for an incentive. Now it is for us as South Sudanese to think of what are these incentives that we can provide to him or any other whom we are asking to step aside, like Dr. Riek Machar, for example. To answer that question, I think we need to ask ourselves of what could be the incentives that President Kiir is talking about. What are his concerns and fears if he leaves power? So, propping into his thinking, or maybe getting an opportunity one day to actually ask him directly, maybe quietly, through people whom he can trust, to tell us what are the concessions or incentives that he is expecting from the people of South Sudan. Maybe he has fears arising from his responsibility as the leader of the country for the crimes that have been committed under his leadership. Our citizens, many of our citizens' lives were taken innocently in Juba and other places. And President Kiir knows that he has responsibility for this, and he has command responsibility for all what has happened as the commander-in-chief under his command. So maybe that is one area of fears. Now, crimes against humanity are not crimes that can be forgiven by anybody. But through processes of truth-telling and reconciliation within the transitional justice, there is a space to discuss greater goods and contribution to peace and reconciliation as factors that may reduce the culpability. And this could be one of the things to be considered. Maybe he wants to negotiate a way that is left out of the hook if he can allow a process of justice and accountability, the process of transition to peace, and he leaves power so that he is not persecuted, for example. He may want to get this as removed. I'm just here discussing, not speculating, but discussing serious concerns given the context of these issues. This may be one of the incentives that he may be thinking about to leave power. That he may not be persecuted, or he may be left alone if he has taken resources, or if there are certain resources in the country that were misappropriated under his leadership, and he may be held responsible for. So these are some of the issues that may arise within answering the question of what incentive does President Kiir want to have to let South Sudan alone. And as it was mentioned by others, that actually President Kiir, because of all these other fears and all these concerns, and because of this thing called incentive, he may be having a plan to remain in power for life. And that is the best way in his thinking to protect himself, regardless of what happens to South Sudan. It is also something for South Sudanese to seriously discuss and engage President Kiir on, to secure a better future for South Sudanese, and to try to help South Sudanese. We help ourselves to answer the question, like the question which was raised by Galwak, when he was saying that the warlords are destroying the country, and he does not know where are we going. This country is getting destroyed. Its future is getting bleak. But in the interest of securing a brighter future, these are things that we must confront. And we can confront them in a genuine process of national dialogue, a round table where we come together to discuss how we break this cycle, how we remove the fear that make people to hold on to power and to want to die in power because they are afraid if they lose power, something may happen to them. Or leaving power for them is, they see it as a humiliation, as if they were born in power themselves. These are serious issues confronting us as a nation. بالنسبة للسؤال بتاع الأسئلة بتاعت الأخ برنس، هل الانتخابات حتقوم في مواعيدها؟ وإذا نعم، ما هي المؤشرات؟ إجابتي للسؤال إنه ما أظن الانتخابات حتقوم في مواعيدها، وكل المؤشرات تشير لأنه ما يتم الانتخابات في مواعيدها، وإلا إذا كانت انتخابات صورية مزيفة لتزييف إرادة شعب جنوب السودان كمحاولة لكسب شرعية غير مشروعة. لنظام لتمديد يعني الأجل بتاعت النظام. وزي ما الآخرين وصلوا لنفس الاستنتاج إنه ما هيكون في انتخابات، وحتى الكلام اللي هسه الداير ممكن يكون جزء من خطة بتاعت النظام في الجوبة لإطلاق بالونات تجريبية لفكرة بتاعت إنه 2023 يحصل انتخابات. وفي كلام مهم جدا من الناحية ده لإعلان الطريقة اللي تم به والنقاش اللي بيتم. ما في أساسا حاجة كقرار رسمي من حكومة الوحدة الوطنية في جوبا من مجلس الوزراء مثلا، أو قرار برلماني لأنه يتم إجراء الانتخابات في مواعيده أو بعد مواعيده بأشهر. يعني كلام زي ده أنت ما بتقوله بدون ما يكون في قرار اتخذته الحكومة إنه نحن طبقنا ده وده وده من الاتفاقية، وفي إمكانية هسه لإجراء انتخابات كده كده، ونحن هنعمل لتكملة الإجراءات. ده ما تم. وبالتالي الطريقة اللي بيناقشوا بها ممكن يكون كخطة لفرض أمر واقع. يعني الشروط بتاعت الانتخابات والعملية ذاتها المهمة المفروض يتم، زي مثلا عودة بتاع النازحين واللاجئين وإعادة توطينهم في مناطقهم، وتحقيق الاستقرار في كل جنوب السودان وفي كل المقاطعات وفي كل الدوائر، وإجراء الإحصاء وترسيم الدوائر وإجازة قانون الانتخابات، والأهم من ده كله إجازة القانون الدستور الدائم، بالإضافة لقانون الأحزاب وتعديله على أساس الدستور الدائم، وإفساح المجال للحريات السياسية والحريات الصحفية، وتحقيق المصالحة الوطنية إلى غير ذلك من البنود المختلفة الضروري تكملتها قبل تسليم السلطة للشعب لينتخب حكومته في انتخابات حرة ونزيهة، بما في ذلك وجود أجهزة لتنفيذ القوانين وللحفاظ على الأمن والاستقرار وسيادة حكم القانون في البلد. ده كله إذا ما تم ويطرحوا إنه يا أخي ماشيين نعمل انتخابات، الناس كلها يقوموا ليه؟ لكن ما أنت ما عملت ده كله. بعد ذلك يجي يقول أوكي أنتوا ما دايرين انتخابات، خلاص نحن نمد الأجل بتاع الحكومة، نحن نمد الفترة الانتقالية ل3 سنة تاني. كما تقول لا 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 نحن ما دايرين نمد المدة بتاع الحكومة. طيب نعمل شنو؟ أنتوا ما دايرين انتخابات وما دايرين نمد الحكومة، الكلام ده هيكون كيف؟ فالحكومة عشان يمد الفترة بتاعه يقوم يطلع عليك الكلام ده، وده بكون الخطة بالضبط. عشان كده في ناس بيقولوا إنه يا أخي ما ما تدخل في خانة بتاعت انك ترفض الانتخابات، لانه الحكومة هيستخدموا الحركة الشعبية في الحكومة، مش كل الحكومة هيستخدموا عشان ما يمدوا الفترة بتاع الفترة الانتقالية تاني من جديد، او يعملوا فترة انتقالية جديدة، وكده يستمر الحكم بفترات انتقالية جديدة. No elections and no conditions for elections, but you have the regime continuing. President Kiir will continue to rule indefinitely unless we break that cycle. How do we break it? We have to think outside the box, and there are some ideas that have been floated, and we need to consider them, like getting into a round table to discuss possibility of forming a government of technocrats, and to discuss also these leaders to step down and step aside for that government and support that government, and then discuss the question of President Kiir. If you want him to step down, he is asking what are his incentives for this, and these are things that or questions that we have to answer, all of us as South Sudanese citizens and as concerned citizens for the better future for our country. I would like to conclude by actually refocusing ourselves on this concern that was expressed by Galwak of not knowing, we do not know where we are going with the way things are now. We need to think of what future we want to have for South Sudan and how to get ourselves out from the current situation where we are lost. And like Galwak, I also believe that they need to return to the real vision that was articulated by John Garang on how to build a nation in a society which is multi-ethnic, on how to build a state in a region which is underdeveloped and backward, and what a government of a people in that situation can do to achieve rapid economic development, to unite people, and to begin the process of state and nation building. These are serious matters, but they are not the concerns of John Garang. Ideas do not die with leaders when they die. They remain. And they do not remain statics. They are also developed and updated to respond to the new challenges that are being faced by people. I thank you here.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman, for the answers. Keep it down. You have 3 minutes to answer your questions. To ask your questions. So you're welcome.
I'm not answering the question, I'm asking.
You asked the
Thank you.
question, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thank you so much, moderator and General Fagang. Look, it's something very, it's very important actually to give a respect, because whom we want to ask is the General Fagang. And then when someone came here, it came as South Sudanese actually concerns. You want to ask questions. You want to know what's going on in the country, all concerns. Not actually to go back what happened. You guys dropped me, asking me that I don't have the pictures. Why would Pagan have pictures of Dr. John? Why would BIP have a picture of Pagan? Is a BIP Pagan or General Pagan is a Dr. John? That's the one, because it's meaning nothing to me. Just go direct to the General Pagan. Thank you so much. You actually put your presentations. My question goes like this. You've been a General Secretary for quite a while, and have you actually resigned officially as a General Secretary of R-SPLM or not? If not, and you again went in and then formed the real R-SPLM. If you have not resigned from the R-SPLM oppositions, or R-SPLM, and then you form another real R-SPLM, what does that mean to you? Because you haven't resigned officially to be head, like people have asked. And then why would you actually, when you are the general or people actually being in the war, fighting for South Sudan to be independent, when you actually trying to become a different party, why would you stick in R-SPLM? Like Dr. Lamakol became R-SPLM DC, and you became the real R-SPLM.
Keep down.
Yep.
Keep down.
This is the questions. You don't dictate me. We are South Sudanese.
No,
if you dictate me,
we are not. Excuse me. We are not dictating. We are here to listen from you to us. But we want you to, excuse me, we have topic we are discussing. The question that you are asked is important, yes, to be answered, but this is not the topic of these questions. So try to ask the question that's relevant to the topic of discussion of today. When we come with the topic side of the question that you ask, you be free, you can ask, no problem. You can ask any question that you ask, just it could be relevant to the discussion that we are discussing, in order to allow other people to participate too, because you are not one alone who want to ask. So thank you.
Okay, it's just simple question. Is General Pagan, are you supporting the election that is actually the South Sudan talking that they want to held election in 2023 or not? That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep down. To clarify you why we drop you down, because it seems in your name is not the real name. Secondly, there is no picture you put it on your account. You cannot.
Dr. John? Is Pagan, why General Pagan put Dr. John pictures? He said Dr. John?
Please, excuse me.
No, that question is nonsense to me. It makes no sense.
Carlo, please let me help you. Keep it down. What we are doing here is for those who would like to join the podium and for those who would like to ask questions. If you don't share your name or your picture, simply you are not going to ask, or you're not going to share the podium. So, and I hope that this is clear for all of us. So there is nothing that there is nothing bad if you can't just share your name. So thank you. Continue, Comrade Carlo. Sorry for disturbance.
Thank you, Comrade Desmond, to clarify to him. Alaipai, I think we give you the chance from the beginning. So in this time, you please, if you have, there is question that you left it, you do not ask. You have 1 minute to. You have 1 minute to raise your question, please.
Okay. Carlos and my brother Dominican, could you allow me to just make a comment concerned to the Honorable Permanent Secretary of R-SPLM, my brother Pagan Amum, as the son of nation of South Sudan. My brother Pagan Amum, I would like to ask you some few things that Nobody raised it up, but I'm here to raise it up because you were a young man. I'm a young man, grow up. As the Torjol said, I educated in the war, I married in the war, as I did. To say dear, my brother Pagan Amum, you son of nation. No matter what tribe you are the head of the Torjol, leave you a dream of the SPLM. That's real SPLM that I'm here speaking to you. Why Salva Kiir went to the Italy? He get kiss, Mama Nyadeng get kiss, fit. Young Machar get kiss, fit. And Salva Kiir, he went to Nigeria, bringing TB Joshua.
Please,
Hold on a minute, hold on a
Alaibai,
minute. Sir, not bad. No, not bad. I'm not here to disrespect my comrade. This is my comrade. This is my comrade. I know him so long indeed. I want him to tell
so
us.
conclude, please, because this is the
I will
second
do that. I
time.
will do that,
Suppose
Carlos.
that we
Carlos.
do not give you again.
No. I'm not going to disrespect. Just give me a little bit time to talk to my comrade. My comrade, I
No,
salute him.
please. This is the second time for you. Suppose that
Okay.
we do not give you again, but
Let me
because
say
you
my
come
word.
up
Okay.
to
Let me
respect
say
you,
my
to
word.
give you
I
1
will go. I
minute,
respect you. I respect you, my dear. Sorry, my
so you
brother.
can conclude in seconds, please.
Yes, let me talk. Why Salva Kiir go and get kiss in Italy? Number two, Salva Kiir said, I regret.
Okay, thank
Why he
you.
regret for?
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
coming.
you.
Let me say, my dear. Let me talk to my comrade. This is my body. This is my body with shit.
Sorry to drop you down, Alaibai, because already you take the chance and we give you another chance, but it's just that's why we drop you down. So sorry for that. Captain, you
Yeah,
have 3
thank
minutes. You have
yeah,
3 minutes, please.
yeah, thank you. And thanks, Comrade Pagan, for being here. I just have a simple question here. Yeah, way back, President Museveni made a statement comparing the political dilemma in Kenya, and he was suggesting that if South Sudan can use the same model, tribal model in Kenya, such as Denka and Equatorian unite, or Denka and Nuer unite, and then they form a government. Now, the same Museveni invite both President Salva Kiir and Riek Machar for retreat in Kampala to evaluate the ongoing peace, implementation of realized peace agreement. But for some reason, the meeting didn't took place. And now he extended the invitation to the partners of peace within the government. I think same the vice presidents. And my question is here: did Museveni invite you guys too, those of Soma and other opposition? And what kind of evaluation actually he tried to evaluate? And everybody know that the implementation is not going as it's supposed to be. Do you think he's trying to suppress or force those guys to accept the deadline or to conduct the election, or what he tried to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Captain, for the question. Now the turn is yours, Dr. Kimo. So you are welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, the moderator, Carlo, and Comrade Pagan, and the rest of the audience or participants. Actually, it's a great pleasure to be part of this conversation, which is tackling a very important
a topic which is currently circulating in the media. For those of you who may not know me, I was part of a team recently, or maybe around October. We had papers published on the African Conflict and Peace Building Review, which is published by Indiana University Press. And we're trying to look into the implementation of the RCs. And for myself, I was looking at Chapter 4 of that particular agreement in terms of to what extent the economic reforms were implemented, because that's the whole idea of including a chapter in the agreement to address these issues. But what I wanted to share with you, I just wanted to share with you a couple of views, in particular related to the issue of elections. First of all, the whole issue lies with the agreement itself, the way it was brokered. And for some of us as academicians, we believe that this agreement is not going to bring peace to South Sudan, leave alone the elections you are talking about, because it's like any other conventional agreement brokered by the regional or the international community. Their focus is always on power sharing and wealth sharing without addressing the root causes of the conflict. That's why some of us would expect this cycle of violence to continue, maybe for decades, unless we step back and reflect and ask ourselves how to break the cycle of the violence. And for me and other colleagues, we share the view that if the international community goes ahead and supports the government, you'll have two scenarios. Either the current government wins the election or it loses the elections. For some of us, in any case, violence is going to erupt because, as elaborated by Comrade Pagan, the minimum requirements for having a fair and free elections are not there. So automatically, the opposition will be doubting the results in terms of rigging or violation of the voters' right or interference on the part of the government in the whole election process, and this will prompt the opposition to go violent. And if on the other side the election is won by the opposition, also this will agitate the current government, or especially the SPLM in government, and will let them also resort to violence. And it makes it really very tricky in terms of how do we break the cycles. And it is very unfortunate that our leaders don't listen, or they always like to learn the hard way. And to me, it's not the first time for South Sudan to come out of conflict with the North. Okay, we had a conflict that erupted in 1955, and we reached an agreement in 72. So when the government was formed in 72 by those of Abel Aller and Joseph Lagu, they believed into the ability of the technocrats to carry on with the function of the government. And that is why that period was relatively smooth, apart from the intervention by Nimeri in '83. And I just would like also to inform you that some of us were concerned since the CPA and even before the CPA. And a group of us were led by late Professor Paul Wani, if some of you know him, was a professor of sociology at the University of Juba, at the University of Khartoum by then. We were part of the project that aimed at creating a database for South Sudanese professionals, whether inside the country or outside the country. And the whole idea is that we wanted to help the government. If peace comes, if an agreement is signed, then we'll have a ready list of technocrats who can run the government. And that was our initial, as academicians, that was our initial proposition when the CPO was started in 2000, because the period was six years. And what we suggested is that, okay, why don't you allow the first 3 years, the government in the South and even in the North to be run by technocrats? Okay, selected South Sudanese in different fields to run the government. And it's not about running the government, but having the capacity to build institutions and establish rules and regulations. And by that time, SPLM would have had the chance to train whom they consider to be their own cadre within the first 3 years. So when the first 3 years are over, we would have established a system, and then at the same time, SPLM would have established its own cadre who are competent, who can run, and they could have taken over, and we could have had a very smooth CPA era. Nobody listened to us, and unfortunately, by the way, it's not those of Pagan who are initiating, maybe it's amplifying the idea, but the idea even came up even in Juba during the celebration. I remember of those of you who are aware of Al-Masir by that time, after the first conflict of 2013, 2015, people came back and we had that big gathering in one of the hotels in Juba, the one that was owned by Amina Akasha. And that is the time we made that proposal again, that it is very important for us to have a government formed by technocrats, and that will give the leaders, okay, a chance to go and prepare their programs, to go and prepare their parties and go for elections. So it is very important for us to reflect and ask ourselves genuinely whether the environment is conducive for elections or not. And everybody knows that the elections, and this is very clear from the presentation which was made at the UN Security Council last week on Monday. Although they didn't make it very clear that it's not possible to have elections, but they made it a point that there are two options.
Please,
Either things will go
Kimo,
normal.
please try to cut it short.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm cutting it short. But yes, I want to make a conclusion by making a proposal. All right. And to me, before I conclude, to me, the whole idea behind conducting election, because the time of the regime has been extended in many ways, even through bribing the Legislative Assembly, and they have run out of all options. So the only thing is to have this election by hooks and crooks to justify their continuation and in power, and it's not going to work. So what I'm suggesting, and now to particularly to Comrade Pagan and other in the political arena, let's go one step ahead and formulate these ideas, because it's very important when you put it in writing and make a lot of presentation to the international community or to the regional bodies, such that they understand these are the views, and it will be very important also to counter the views of the government. So thank you very much. If I prolong, I apologize for that, but it's a pleasure to be part of your conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kimo, for your inputs. Yeah, they are valuable. We are happy also to have you here. We are sorry to announce that we have less than 30 minutes because also the recording is going off. The time also, we are running out of time. Comrade Chairman, you have 10 minutes to answer the questions, and then you have some extra 5 minutes for the remarks. And then we'll try to close the room because the replay time is almost off. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm sorry to my comrade Aliabai that he had to be forced down. I am sorry that that happened to you, but you can call me. You have my contacts. You can share with me all the things that are burning us, and I know what the cost you have paid as a person, and on this and that can be even seen in the way you are speaking, or can be felt by the people. I know you spent your youth and life in this. And the questions you ask really, I will not go a lot into them because they are not related to the topic of elections. Like when the Holy See, Pope Francis, kissed the feet of our leaders, President Kiir, Dr. Riek, and Mama Rebecca. And that is the first time in history of the Catholic Church and of even and conflicts to have a situation like that. That act, which is inspired from the Lord Jesus Christ Himself, who washed the feet of His disciples. The Holy See did something. He humbled himself so much and begged those leaders to bring peace to this country, to this young country. And it is out of his concern and love for our people that he had to humble himself and humiliate himself in front of these leaders, kissing their feet to beg them to spare the lives of South Sudanese. And yet, they did not live to the expectations of our people. People thought that was blessings to them, and from there would be peacemakers. Unfortunately, it did not show. The Pope is going to visit South Sudan, hopefully in the summer of this year, and is going together with the Archbishop of Canterbury and the moderator of Presbyterian Church. And they are going in with a pastoral visit and tour. And of course, it has political implication on issues of bringing peace. Yet this peace is not even being built. And we are engaged, of course, with the government in Rome talks. The government withdrew from the talks And now they have come back. They said they are ready to talk with us again after they left. We said they are welcome. We are ready to continue to talk with them to address the root causes of the problem. We remain hopeful that this will lead to some understanding around some of the ideas that we have been discussing here. On the question of, I will not go for bringing in the TB Joshua. After that, that case, I don't want to get into the philosophical or religious debate and discussion. That is not my area. Now, on the question of why was the retreat in Kampala, the question by Captain or Adu, the retreat in actual fact was proposed by Troika, and Troika wanted to find some breakthrough on the impasse of implementation of the agreement, particularly the implementation of security arrangements as an important key element, even to create a semblance of an environment to hold elections. That was their proposal. And the parties, the first proposal was to have a meeting in which President Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar, the first vice president, attend. But both of them seems to have developed problems of the way the idea is made for the retreat, whether it should include others, and whether even the invitation should go to the parties or should go to the president, and then the president will be the one to invite the others in the government. So there was this discussion, and the environment also was not that conducive to hold those meetings because things were not going well, especially between the two main parties, with Kidegwang and other developments which were happening, which were being seen that this is also attempt to destroy each other. So that was it. The President Museveni position has always been clear that the solution to the problem in South Sudan is elections, just whole elections. And this is a position that he has been holding since 2013. President Kiir was against those elections to take place in 2015. And that led to the country going to war. And he continued pushing for those elections in 2015 as a solution. He was saying, you just let the parties just stop fighting and then go for elections. Then you have an elected government, khalas. That is a solution. President Museveni did not focus on the conditions of making elections free and fair and peaceful. whereby the results will not be contested and may turn into violence. He has always made the proposal but did not focus on those elements, which are very important for a situation like South Sudan. The proposal of using tribes or tribal alliances as an alternative for South Sudan, and President Museveni talked about coalitions of tribes in Kenya. It is very important for South Sudanese who are receiving this proposal to know that that type of electoral system, which is based on tribal alliances and not programs and not agendas that lead to unite the country, has actually landed Kenya into a lot of problems, including problems of massacres of citizens, people killed because of their tribe, and Kenyan people have lost a lot because of those divisions, even though these leaders, after they instigate their own supporters to kill each other, they unite, and sometimes they can even form alliances and form governments. But that is at the cost of the national unity, and it has also lended them, the leaders, to be investigated and to appear in court in ICC. And I don't think this is what we want in South Sudan, to have our next or the future to be troubled like that. And the Kenyans are also now learning that maybe there is need to break those tribal alliances by creating new understanding, including what they call now building bridges among themselves as their own unique way of reconciling through this problem. But still, the problem continue to be there, and it has not helped Kenya, though Kenya was stable for 24 years, but that was under a one-party system that ruled with an iron fist, especially after the death of the first president. The second president took over, and in the end, the very party itself got destroyed and disappeared. KANU disappeared with the system it had, and new parties had to emerge and come up from that. So it was not also a good example, but it is a lot to learn from. What are they trying to do with the retreat, and even with the idea after the retreat now they are reorganizing and to hold another meeting? It is basically to push for elections, but the dangers are there that those elections, if they are held without proper preparations and proper environment, and they are held under a government that is composed of the parties of the conflict, and which President Museveni also referred to, that this is a government of enemies. And you can see how they are undermining themselves, or at least the SPLM-IG is undermining SPLM-IO in a big way, even in the process of implementation and recruiting from them. It will not end well. It will not end well. Maybe the international community are tired of South Sudan. And now their focus is actually somewhere else. Now the focus is in Ukraine and what is happening in Europe. And the focus is in great power politics and competition, which is a new period that we are entering into now, with the competition between United States and China, and between United States and Russia, with what is happening now in Europe, with the expansion of NATO and the support that NATO is providing to Ukraine against the invasion by Russia. This is a new time, and people focus is elsewhere, including focus is on climate change. It has been on pandemic, and South Sudan is way out of the radars, and they are just exhausted from it. They are exhausted even to provide humanitarian assistance that is increasing every year. Billions of dollars are pushed into it, and there is no stability that can make our agriculture recover and our people to produce their own food and be weaned out from this. So this is something, if you can push it under the rug by holding whatever type of elections, the better. The functionaries want to go somewhere else, and you can even see that the media is not now having any space at all for crises that are happening in South Sudan, like this huge threat of famine that may affect 6.8 million South Sudanese this year. That is the context, and that is what they are trying to do. Have we been invited? In actual fact, I just received a call yesterday from the one of the envoys of Uganda to IGAD and South Sudan, and who are also attending the talks in Rome, where I was informed, and there is an invitation, but not to attend the meeting, but to do consultations. And we said, yes, we welcome the invitation to consult. It will be an opportunity to engage, and we'll see. But we are not a party to the retreat itself, because the retreat is about the RRCs, which our position is clear. It is not being implemented, will not be implemented fully. It will not bring peace to South Sudan. That is why we did not sign it. That is why we are out of it. So that is what is happening. I would like to thank Dr. Kimu for his presentation, really very valuable to this discussion. And I get your proposal for us to concretize these ideas and share them with the region, with the international community, with our people, and among ourselves as South Sudanese, to really look for a way out. What would be the best way out of this jam that we are boxed in. And this cycle, can we break it so that we don't move from peace agreement to war or extension, or we move to peace agreement, election, then another war, and we go into this cycle, destroying ourselves to the point of not even knowing where are we going, where is this country going to. It is time for us to genuinely come together, use forum like this to develop ideas and share ideas. Whatever that any one of us come to share, they are not being shared that we have the solution. No, we are putting them there with humility as a contribution to maybe could be a solution, but for us to sound it among ourselves and develop them, like what we just have gone through now, through the questions that were asked and the comments that were made, particularly the last comments which were made by the previous all speakers, particularly Dr. Kimo, in the end. There is need for more discussions on these issues, and we look at them in depth, and we discuss them with a sense of responsibility to find a solution. And from the principle that we have a problem, it is our problem. It is not a problem between us. This is a problem confronting us. We have a country that is in self-destruction. We have a country that has lost a vision, that has no direction, and it is spiraling down. And the situation of our people, including the life our people are living, is getting terrible by the day. It's getting worse. Last year was bad. This year is worse. Who knows, next year could be even terrible. What can we do to change this situation, rescue our country, and build a peaceful, just, and a prosperous home? A peaceful country in which we live in peace and harmony, united in peace and harmony. Can we create a situation where we can now sing songs of freedom with joy, as it is in our national anthem, where we can thank God and appreciate His grace for the abundance He has given us, and appreciate our heroes and martyrs, saluting them with honors for their sacrifices they have made to make us free. That is my prayer. That is our prayer. It is our dream, and I believe it will come true one day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. We regret for those who couldn't have chances to speak. We are left with like less than 10 minutes for the replay. Comrade Samuel and Dr. Kimo, each 2 minutes to conclude. Please, 2 minutes, because we are closing on the replays time. Comrade Samuel, go for your 2 minutes. Then we shift to Comrade Dr. Kimo.
Thank you very much, Comrade Doshman, Comrade Beat, Carlo, and Mr. Chairman, and also our lecturer, Dr. Kimo Dibo. For the long time, my brother, Dr. Kimo, I did not hear your voice, but I am glad today to hear you here, and I thank you for that wherever you are. Guys, we have a problem in our country. I suppose to talk about the legal impact of this election if it take place, for instance, but it will not take impact. The issues of agreed upon election law is not in the place. Transition justice, which also the agreement they are assuming implementing it now, never take place, and it is a serious issue. Transition justice must take place. Even we, the opposition people who are talking about a change in South Sudan today, without transition justice and accountability for those atrocities happen in South Sudan, I'm speaking with you as a lawyer. There will no peace will take place in our country. A lot of people being killed, their home door to door, in Bor, in Malakal, and in main place of the conflict which erupted in our country, Juba. Can you believe up to date there are people staying in UN camp in Juba? This displaced POCs from 2013 up to date. They are still inside there, even they don't come out from there. The same situation. Wow, wow, in Malakal, in Bor, in Bantu, the same situation. Can you believe Malakal town, one of the greatest town in the South Sudan, been demolished down? Even the material for the home of the people been removed and taken out by the looters. Can you believe today in South Sudan the gun is spread in the hands of the civilian? This election will not take place, and a lot of things are there. I want also to talk about those people who spoke before about John Graham. Yes, John Graham have died, but the idea of John Graham up to date is still working, is still alive. Even when we saw his picture in profile of some comrades, it is a great pleasure for us to honor him for what he have sacrificed and put himself through until today. We have South Sudan. It is shame for somebody to
Please
deny.
conclude, Comrade Samuel. Please, the
Thank
2
you very
minutes
much.
is over.
Yes,
Yeah.
to deny what the effort John Grant have made with his comrade. I myself, I was in Ethiopia in a very early age. As some of people I was speaking, and they are Judge Amer and whatever. Our country will be great, guys. Change will come to South Sudan. This election will not take place, although it's blessed with some people, but those are his political statements. As I told you before that, there are no officials statement been put in place in front of the partners to this government. But let us wait, and the history will judge us. Even if it take place this election, it will not be fair, because election with the half of the population might be, if you take out the underage people who will not be in a capability of reaching to the level of voters, we can deduct also from this 50% remaining. You can imagine how many people will vote. And the Riala Odinga, the election of Kenya been cancelled by Supreme Court, the previous election of Kenya, and when it been repeated, the commissioner of the election commission was the main target to
Samuel,
be removed out of them.
thank you.
And yes, and Riala Odinga say that if election
We
continue
are
with the
actually
same
running out of the
system,
replays time.
yes, it will
Please,
be
please.
selection, not election. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Samuel. Dr. Kimo, 2 minutes, please.
Thank you so
some
much.
final
Actually,
remarks.
I could that a good hire, but you offered me the opportunity. But what I wanted to encourage people is what is at stake is the country. You cannot imagine a blessed country like South Sudan would have over 50% of the population outside the country at the moment, whether they are displaced. And South Sudan, really, when we took independence in 2011, were far better than any other African countries in terms of our human resources, in terms of our physical resources. I strongly believe that we can still make it. And my final point is that, as I put it earlier, it is very important for us to articulate why election is not the best option at the moment. And there is a lot of literature on that, and we have a lot of experiences. As he put it, Comrade Pagan, that the example he mentioned, the example, what is happening in what happened, and I was in Nairobi when that crisis erupted after election. The same thing is happening in Ethiopia because of the orientation. And unfortunately, some of us were advocating this federalism, which is based on ethnicity. If it is not working with my neighbor, why should I think it could work with me? Right? And I think this is our country. We should be able to articulate our views that election, yes, but not this now, because there is no single ingredient is in place for you to conduct these elections. And I think it is not up to Pagan or one or two, but everybody should take it upon himself or herself to advocate, okay, and make sure that this election doesn't take place. And let us find other ways of breaking the cycle of the violent conflict in our country, so that we don't want to go back to war. We don't need to go back to war, because if we go back to war, that's the end of South Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kimo. Yeah, definitely. We don't want to go back to war. Uh, before we close the room, please let me thank our moderators who have been here since the beginning of the room, Comrade Beth, Carlo, for their efforts. And also, I would like to thank our presenter,